Hello, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer of AV Geeks. I figured you guys would love to start things off with a parade. And this wasn't just an ordinary parade, this was in New Bern, North Carolina, and this was a safety parade. I got this collection from UNC's TV and film department. They were basically throwing a bunch of stuff away, and in it was a couple of things related to this program to do car safety inspections. This is long before it was something that was a law. It was basically trying to implement this thing that would check tires on cars, windshields, the different things that could potentially cause traffic accidents. And so there was this big hoopla. There was actually something at the fairgrounds. There was a dance. There was a lot of speeches. Then there was this raw footage of a parade, a safety parade. And I've been trying to locate what year it was. I wanted to say it was early 60s, but I'm finding newspaper clippings that say that it was 1955, which would kind of work with the cars that are in here. But I personally love parade footage. I watch all the parades on Thanksgiving and Christmas and whenever I can. I love watching these historical things because they really do. They show you the floats, they show you the businesses, they show you what people were doing at that time, and they show a little bit of glimpses of downtown. So that's one of the reasons I love watching home movies of parades. And I might dip my toe into showing some more home movies because that is something that I really am very passionate about. Every year I do a home movie day. Actually, I do multiple home movie days. I've already done 2 this year. Normally it takes place in October, but I've already done one in New York City at MoMA, and then I did one in Durham. And I will probably, when things get back going again, I'll probably do one in Raleigh and hopefully Iceland. That is my hope. It might be something that might be bumped to next year. But anyways, thanks for joining me. It is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and I didn't want to I don't have anything scanned that deals with Mexican culture. I had that horrible, grotesque Taco Jack thing that I've already shown and got in trouble because of Herb Alpert's music that's lifted in the film. So anyways, I didn't want to do a grotesque stereotype of Mexican culture, and so I hope that you celebrate responsibly, etc. But speaking of grotesque, there was Smokey Bear. Years later, a new mascot came onto the scene, and this mascot was Woodsy Owl. And this film, it's splicey. It's very splicey, this transfer, so it jumps a lot. But this is really outrageous. This is helps Woodsy spread the word, and it has the song in it. So here we go. Enjoy.
For manner show, leave a trail that's nice and clean wherever you may go. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Woodsy Owl knows what is best. Help him check pollution in the north, south, east, and west.
Give a hoot, don't pollute, never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
Gee, I wish I can see Woodsy Owl.
I wonder what he's like.
He's a very nice owl.
He's probably asleep right now. Owls do sleep in the day, you know.
No way. Not Woodsy. He's out asking people to give a hoot, don't pollute.
Wonder how we could meet Woodsy Owl.
I might be able to arrange it. You, my friend, just wait right here. I'll go find him. I know he's near. Hey, Woodsy, come with me. I've got some friends for you to see.
Okay. Be right with you. Well, what have we here?
It's him.
It's him.
Woodsy Owl.
Hey, it's him.
Is this yours, young fella?
Hey, Woodsy, give me 5.
All right.
Hi, I'm Woodsy Owl, and I'm here to ask you for some help. You see, I want you to help keep our forests and cities clean and beautiful. Now, I know it's a mighty big job, but what do you say, fellas? You want to help?
Sure.
I knew it, Woodsy. You need not fear. You've got some darn good help right here.
Where do we start, Woodsy?
Come on, I'll show you. Now, what do you suppose we can do about that?
Sand it down with sandpaper.
Let's scrub it with soap and water. Or paint remover.
Why not paint it all over? So it looks like it did before someone wrote on it.
Yep, that's right. Any of those ideas will work, but let's think about it. What's the best solution?
Not to write on the rocks at all.
Right, right. Come on, kids. Let's get busy and clean up our rocks.
Hey, I need a Here, let me have...
Hey there now, that's much better. Mother Nature sure paints them better than anyone else ever could.
What's next, Woodsy?
Well, come on, kids, and I'll show you. Now, I can remember when this was clear. Looks like some dirty birds were here.
Looks like somebody dumped oil into the stream.
Someone threw paper cups into it, too.
And a soda pop can. Why do people do this, Woodsy?
Well, Greg, they just don't think. They forget to be careful. But that's how we can help. Now, if we see a mess, help clean it up. But most important, don't make a mess in the first place. Come on, kids, let's get busy.
Help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know. Do give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the snow or on the sand, help keep America looking grand. Oh,
Help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird.
no matter where you go, you can let some people know to give a hoot, don't pollute, never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
May I have this dance, Miss Parker?
Why, thank you, Woodsy. I'd love to. Help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know too.
Give a hoot, don't pollute, never be a dirty bird. In the snow or on the sand, help keep America looking grand. So, help Woodsy spread the word, never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know too. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
Come here, kids. I want to show you something else that's pretty bad. Isn't that awful? Come on, let's go down there and see for ourselves. Oh, look at that. Air pollution, sight pollution, noise pollution, and litter everywhere. Now this is where litter belongs. I know. Pretty sad, isn't it? Listen, what do you hear? That's much too loud and hurts your ears.
I hear a motorbike.
That's right. If that was your motorbike, what would you do about the noise?
I'd have the garage make it more quiet. Or I'd ride my bike.
That's a great idea.
I hear a radio that's too loud. I'd turn it down if it was mine.
Good girl, Marianne.
I hear a car with a broken muffler, like my dad's.
Now tell me, Mike, can you do anything about that?
Sure, I'd ask my dad to have it fixed.
Well, I know that would help. Every little bit we can do to stop pollution certainly does help. The main thing is that we all try.
Look here, Woodsy. Someone carved up the picnic table.
It can be fixed, can't it, Woodsy?
With some brushes and paint and a little wood putty, this table could be mighty pretty.
Mr. Music is right. If people would only keep it that way.
We'll help, Woodsy.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about it, too, so they will know what not to do.
Come follow me and you will see what can happen to a beautiful tree. That hurts a tree just like a cut hurts you.
How can we fix this, Woodsy?
Well, I'm sorry to say, Greg, there are some things we just can't fix. You know, this tree will always carry these scars. Sometimes this can even make a tree die.
That's why it's important. You can see why no one should ever carve a tree.
You're so right, Mr. Music. It's important for all of us to think before we do something, especially something that can't be changed.
Every little bit that we do to stop pollution will help. Oh, no, Woodsy.
Uh-huh.
And we can all help spread the word to...
Never be a dirty bird.
We'll help stop pollution, Woodsy. All kinds. And we'll get our parents to help, too.
Yeah.
Now, kids, I'm going to be counting on you, every one of you. Just think about what you can do to stop pollution in your own backyards, at school, or, well, just anywhere you go.
Hey, come on, kids. There's a place I know. Let's have some fun before we go.
All right.
Remember now, kids, don't forget, I'm counting on you.
Okay, Woodsy, you don't have nothing to worry about.
Hey, Woodsy's fun, though.
Yeah, it sure is. Don't worry. Bye, Woodsy. Bye, Mr. Music.
Bye. Come on, Rick.
Bye now. So long, kids.
Help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know to give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. in the snow or on the sand. Help keep America looking grand. So help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know to give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
Looking good. Now you've got it. Thanks, Mr. Music. See you later. I've got to go now, and I'm flying high, but I'll be back, and you know why. Give a hoot. Don't pollute.
Wow, Mr. Music. There's that scene with Woodsy with the guitar. They're trying to make it look like he's playing the. It's so good. It's interesting. So I did this. I showed this in some other films from the 70s during a show called The Last Time We Were Green, and it's basically looking at films that talk about pollution, ecological concerns, circa the 70s, and almost all of the things that they're talking about are visual things. So litter, graffiti, or, noise pollution, water pollution, some things that they can see. And, so there were some things that kind of address that. So they came up with biodegradable products, biodegradable plastics, biodegradable papers. They cleaned up a lot of the air pollution, the smog, but they left things like carbon dioxide. They left things like methane, things that people couldn't see. The litter broke down into tiny little particles, so the plastics are now little microplastics that get stuck in things and fish, and so it's interesting that that at that time the movement were things that were visible, like that's ugly, that is, and then they're like, oh well, we'll fix that, and like, oops, we didn't quite fix it. We actually kind of made it just where you can't see it, and it's manifesting itself in other ways. So, anyways, there's other films that I have that deal with this. Uncle Smiley is something I have not busted out yet, but I'm going to bust out some Uncle Smiley at some point. It's pretty glorious. Okay, so we saw Woodsy Owl. I put in the comments a link to the USDA basically talking about how to wear a Woodsy suit nowadays, and you can see how Woodsy has changed. Woodsy now wears pants, and is a little bit, it's not so small, but anyways, there's a whole thing about like wearing the suit and how you have air circulating in the suit and where you order the suit from and then what's appropriate and all that stuff. So I love finding stuff like that. So I hope you can at some point go in and fall into a rabbit hole of what it means to be Woodsy Owl nowadays. This next film is about Frances and her rabbit and some crayons. Enjoy.
Frances would like to go outside and play. Her friend Hopper likes to play outside too, but today it's raining. Hopper had better be careful and not get wet. Frances only goes to the edge of the porch, but Hopper went too far and got his ears wet. He doesn't like that. It's hard to have fun outside in the rain and keep dry, isn't it? Frances and Hopper will have to do something indoors. Frances goes to her room and looks out the window. Hopper goes to his room, too. If it wasn't raining, Frances could dig in her garden, or play with her jacks, or even visit Rover next door. What do you do on a rainy day? Frances finds some paper and crayons in her dresser. Why not draw a picture? And Hopper can help. She spreads all the crayons on the table. Now she and Hopper can see them better. Frances likes to draw, but doesn't know what to draw first. Why not a tree? First, Frances draws the trunk of the tree. Then she draws the branches. Hopper thinks it is a sad tree. Maybe the tree is sad because Frances is sad. She wants to go out and play, but it's still raining. Hopper, can you make Frances happy? What's that green crayon for, Hopper? Of course, green leaves for the tree. Careful, Hopper. Don't spoil the picture. Now the tree looks happier. And so does Frances. Ooh, here comes Hopper with another crayon. What do you think he wants Frances to do with the red crayon? Hopper likes apples. There's still a lot of room left for Frances to draw more things, isn't there? What will she draw this time? The house has windows and a door, as all houses do. Hopper wants to make it look brighter. So he brings back the red crayon. What is the blue for, Hopper? Frances knows. See what she does with it? That big empty space at the bottom of the picture is a good spot for a flower bed. Flowers come in many colors, so Hopper will have to do a lot of work. How does he find the right crayon? Do you think Hopper can really see the different colors? Or does he smell them? Frances puts a big lawn of grass all around the flowers, and around the tree, and in front of the house. Now the picture is finished. Frances would like to hang it on the wall. But what does Hopper see outside? Well, why doesn't he look at the picture? He sees something outside that Frances should draw in the picture. What is it? Now the picture is really finished, and Frances picture that she and Hopper made. This time when Frances looks out the window, she finds that the sun is really shining, just as in the picture. At last, she and Hopper can go outside and play. Didn't they have fun making the picture?
Wasn't that precious? There's something about it. The pacing of it is really great, and the fact that the little girl is drawing pictures while her rabbit looks on is really sweet. This next film is part of the Inside Out series. I've shown some other films in that series. I showed Just Joking, that amazing film about the kid who his sister seeks revenge on him after he pulls a prank on her, and it devastates him. It's awesome. So this one is also another very provocative film. It doesn't have answers necessarily. It does have a slight resolution to it, but it's basically a little girl who's afraid about being laughed at and her teacher. So but they might laugh at me. But they might laugh. Enjoy.
The following from a national instructional television series. The series and related materials were developed and supported by 32 educational agencies, with additional support from Exxon Corporation.
To spell it. All right, Jimmy, would you come up, please, and do the next word? The word is...
Today at the ice skating rink, I saw this girl, and she was really good. She could do these spins. Gosh, I hope I can get like that.
Yeah, I can hardly wait till this afternoon when we get to go.
Gosh, you're so good. I wonder how long it took her to learn that.
Probably a long time.
Maybe I could get like that. Wow.
Yeah, I bet you'll be able to. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd really like to get like that. Gosh, you're so terrific.
Becky? Rebecca? Would you come to the board, please, and try the next word? All right, Becky, this is a hard one now. Triumphant. He was triumphant in victory. Class, just a minute. Let's give Becky a chance, please. Class, let's give her a chance. Becky, think about it. Triumphant. All right, Becky, you're usually a very good speller. Now think. Becky, we'll give you a chance tomorrow, dear. You study the list again.
Quit. I can't do it. Laugh at me. Doesn't matter. I mess up all the time. They always laugh. No, I just won't do it, and I can't do it when anybody laughs at me like that. Forget about it. We're going ice skating this afternoon. Oh, yeah, well, I'll probably mess all that up as soon as I do that. You can do it.
Boys and girls, just 1 minute. How many of you have signed up for the free ice skating lessons at the rink? Well, that's a nice-sized group. I'll walk over to the rink with you and get you started.
Gonna come skating with us, Mrs. Johnson?
Oh, who knows? Let's get there and then we'll make that decision.
Oh, you'd be great.
Well,
have a ball.
Well, not today, but I'll be thinking about it. There are a lot of other days. Would you all wait aside and I'll join you in just 1 minute as soon as I get my guests.
Johnson, I quit.
Oh, Becky, no. Why, dear?
So how can I skate when everybody's laughing? I mean, I make so many mistakes.
Becky, the laughter doesn't mean anything. The children are your friends. You know that. Why don't you rest a while? Try it again in a little bit when you feel better. You know, in a couple of days it will be easy for you.
Well, if it's so easy, why don't you skate?
Oh, no. No, I'm sorry. All right. But look, not today. I'm not dressed for it. Tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow, I promise.
Wants to go ice skating anyway. How can anybody do anything when people are laughing at them? Nobody can make me go back to skating class again. Dumb class.
Would you please take your seats? You see, is everyone here? Becky, gracious, dear, whatever happened to you?
Well, I hurt my knee at the ice skating rink yesterday.
Oh, I didn't realize that you got hurt that badly. Have you had it x-rayed?
Well, I'm going to get an x-ray this afternoon.
Oh, I'm so sorry, dear. I had no idea the fall was that bad. Take your seat, dear.
Well, it's really terrible. I mean, this messed all up. You can't come skating with us this afternoon. Yeah, I know. Since you pushed me down, now I can't. Oh, come on. I didn't push you all that hard. What are you, made of glass or something? Did you? You really ran hard. Yeah, today's the day Mrs. Johnson is coming skating with us. Aren't you, Mrs. Johnson?
Boys and girls, I have something to say. Now, I know I promised you that I would go today, but I can't. I'm sorry.
But you promised.
Look, I am just as disappointed as you are. I dressed for it and all, but I got to school today and found out there's a meeting that I cannot skip.
Oh, come on, Miss Johnson.
Yeah, now, come on, be good sports about it. Math books, please.
Gee, it's terrible you hurt your leg. It's going to be a lot of fun today. Oh, it's no fun when you're just a beginner. Of course it is. You were just nervous. That's why you fell down.
No, well, besides, I can't do it. I've got to go home and get my leg x-rayed.
Oh, I'll see you.
But it's so good.
Becky?
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes, how's your knee, dear?
Well, it's okay, but it still hurts a little bit.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, I better be on my way.
Becky? Becky, come
Yes?
here, dear. I'd like to talk to you.
Well, I thought you had a meeting to go to.
Becky, I was telling a lie. There wasn't any meeting. Can you think of a reason why I might have done that?
Well, why you told a lie? Well, maybe it was because you didn't want to go ice skating.
No, Becky, I wanted to go. I really did. You know, it looked like such fun the other day, but I was afraid to.
You were afraid?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, not of getting hurt, really, but of falling down and looking stupid and silly and just making a general fool of myself.
Well, you were afraid that we would laugh at you?
Yeah, I really was.
Well, you were like, just like me. A lot of times when I always get in that position, every time I goof up or something, everybody laughs at me. I wish I could just disappear, just die.
I know the feeling, but you know, it really doesn't solve anything. Instead of disappearing, Becky, why don't we go over and catch the lesson? You know, there's still time, I think, if we hurry.
No, I don't know.
Why don't you come over and watch anyway?
Inside Out is a series of programs and related materials developed and supported by 32 educational agencies in the United States and Canada, with additional support from Exxon Corporation. This program was produced by WNVT, Northern Virginia Educational Television.
Thank you, Exxon Corporation, for that little vignette about feelings and embarrassment, and there is a warm feeling that I have when I watch these films, mostly because it features kids that were around my age, around a time in the 70s, and, you know, just kind of just zips right in there. Super nostalgic time, and deals with all the insecurities that kids face. So I have quite a few of these, I think like 20 or so. So I'll be busting some more out as we keep going with this. You know, it's lunchtime, so perhaps you were wondering about the quality of meat that you buy. Here is a kinescope. A kinescope is basically they shot something on video, then because videotape was expensive, they made a film print of it and distributed that. The film faded red, and we used some early color correction technology to fix it, but everything's a little greenish and purple, so it's not very palatable. So here's the quality of meat you buy.
Buying meat is an important job for any homemaker. You know, we spend about 25 cents out of every food dollar for meat, so it's very important from that standpoint. Also, meat is a food that we all like, especially when it's tender and juicy and flavorful. And whenever you're buying meat to prepare a beautiful entree such as this, it's important that you know about two things in particular, about the meat quality, and then it's important that you know about the cut of meat that you buy. Now, to talk first about quality, there are the USDA grades for meat to help you in buying. This roast is graded USDA choice, and you can see the little purple shield-shaped grade stamp on the outside fat covering. This tells you that you're buying a certain degree of quality. Also, it assures you of buying consistent quality, because this rib roast is going to be just as tender and juicy and flavorful if you buy it today or if you buy it 2 weeks from now, when you buy by quality grade. So the grade stamps, or the grades, are there to help you in selecting. Now, these are the top 3 grades that you'll find most often in today's supermarket. The top quality grade, USDA Prime, and then this one, which is the most popular and one which you're most familiar with, USDA Choice. You'll find this all over the country in today's meat counter. And the third quality grade, USDA Good. And very often, a store will offer 2 grades. If you were going to buy a beef roast to prepare as a pot roast, you went in the store and there was USDA Choice and USDA Good available, and this one being a USDA Choice blade chuck roast, and this roast being a USDA Good blade chuck roast, and this one selling for a few cents less per pound than this. Now, if you're going to prepare it as a pot roast, why not buy the USDA Good for a few cents per pound less? Because the way you cook it, cooking it slowly and adding liquid, you're going to tenderize it the way you cook it. So it's to your advantage to choose the grade according to how you're going to cook the particular cut that you select. So the grades do help in buying, you see. Now, meat grading is strictly voluntary. It's a service that's provided by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it's provided by the request of meat packers and others who pay a fee for the service. And a specially trained federal meat grader judges the quality of the meat and then rolls the purple shield-shaped grade stamp all along the back side of a carcass and across the shoulder and up the brisket, and he rolls the grade stamp this way so that it appears on the outside fat covering of your retail cuts. Now, this roast, you can see the purple shield-shaped grade stamp on the outside fat covering of the roast, and this is what tells you the quality of meat that you're buying. As I say, it represents a certain degree of quality and also assures you of consistent quality. Now, not all meat is graded. Only beef and calf and veal and lamb are graded for quality. Pork is not graded. Now, in addition, it's important to know the various cuts of meat that you buy and how to properly prepare them, because the cuts will vary within the animal. For example, in a side of beef, you have the more tender cuts along the center back portion of the side of beef, and then in this front section, the chuck, you have your shoulder and blade cuts, which are less tender, and then in the back section, in the round, you have your round steak and sirloin tip roasts, also less tender. So you have to prepare according to cut. And as I say, the cuts will vary in tenderness within one animal or within a side of beef. Now, there are booklets to help you that have been published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, one entitled How to Buy Beef Roast, the other How to Buy Beef Steaks. And in each of these booklets, there's an identification chart in the center fold, illustrates all of the popular retail cuts just as you see them in the meat counter. And you can write for your single free copy of each, write to Steaks and Roasts, Agriculture TV, Washington, D.C., zip code 250. And you'll find, with the help of these booklets, that you'll be a much wiser shopper at the meat counter, and you can serve your meat cuts with pride.
guess the color wasn't so bad on that, but there was a greenish tint that I saw that was kind of like, oh, I could have fixed that now with the tools that I have. So somebody had commented earlier about the trippy ending on the end of Inside Out. And that was, it's also at the beginning where you have this weird kind of flowing thing that turns into these silhouettes of these kids. Or it goes from silhouettes of kids into this weird flowy thing. Anyway, so that was a really popular effect that shows up in a lot of 70s things. It was used a lot in Electric Company, and you could see a lot of commercials that would use it, like ABC would use it. And essentially that was a computer that did that. It was an analog computer called the Scanimate. And it was this giant like bank of cables and patch bays and all this stuff. And what you would have is a camera that was aimed at some sort of graphic, and then you could manipulate, with dials, and it was like a giant synth, but it was for video. And I saw somebody had one that they were trying to find a home for. I would say probably 15 years ago. And I got really excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I really want this. I really, really want this. I have the room, I can do it. And it would basically be dedicating an entire room to it. And I had to kind of pause because that was my AV Geek insanity going like, oh man, I could totally have this thing. Because I got very excited. The nostalgia of seeing those effects. Really, I was like, yes, this will be so great. And I was like, well, you know what? I can actually do it in After Effects pretty easily and not take up an entire room and not have to learn. And there was this kind of split. I'm like, and I already have a thing where I'm collecting old films and I'm collecting equipment to digitize those films, and likewise for video. So I really, and also the guy I reached out to him. He never really got back to me. Was he interested in getting rid of it, or what was his deal? Was he going to try to take money for it? I don't know. Anyways, I was like, all right, okay, I'll pass on that. But anyways, look up Scanimate. It's Scanimate. And I think there's people on there that still have them. They basically, video post houses spend a lot of money on these, like probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on these things. And they all got decommissioned, and some engineers took them on to kind of rehabilitate them. But so look up Scanimate. All right, so one last film. Thanks so much for coming out and hanging out with us. The physicality of being together is not there, obviously, but being together and joining together and commenting together and watching things together, that's still something we very much can do, and I cherish. I very much appreciate, and that's why I do this. This film is made for little kids, and back when they could hang out together. So here's We Play and Share Together.
Here's a beautiful new school. There are plenty of toys to play with, and plenty of children to play with, too. Watch 3 of these children to see what they do. Susan, Michael, and Irene are coming out to play. They certainly can have a good time in a play yard like this. But what's the matter with Susan? And what's the matter with Irene? Blocks are for all to share. Aren't they going to play together? Michael is angry. You'd be angry, wouldn't you, if someone pushed you that way? Michael wants to help Bill, too. Susan and Irene just haven't learned that sharing is fun. Well, perhaps they think they'll have a better time playing alone. Certainly, Michael could help them, though. Wonder what they're trying to build. Why, it's like a tunnel, isn't it? Susan and Irene are working very hard. It takes lots of careful building to make the blocks stay up. Still more blocks are needed to make the sides wider and stronger. When it's finished, they'll probably want to run a train through it. Would you like to be a train going through a tunnel like theirs? Susan's the first train. Oh, too bad. She's a little too big a train for the tunnel, isn't she? But the girls are going to build the tunnel up again. Perhaps if it's a little wider, Susan may get through next time. No, it didn't work. Maybe Irene ought to try it. She's smaller. While the girls build up their tunnel once more, let's see what Michael is doing. Look at Michael's train. A train like that would really go through a tunnel, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, there's lots of clay to work with. That's fun, too. Michael presses it and squeezes it. Sometimes clay just feels good. But Michael's not really thinking about the clay today. He rolls it and rolls it and rolls it some more. And all the time he's wishing he were playing with the girls and their blocks. Poor Michael. He sometimes likes to play alone, but other times it's more fun to play with children. It's too bad the girls won't let Michael share their play. You know what it feels like when your friends won't let you play with them. Michael's unhappy. He likes clay, but he would really rather be over there with the blocks, the tunnel, and the girls. Michael decides to play with the train again. Let's watch him. Wonder where his train is going. Oh, over to the easel. Michael wants to make a picture. Look at those big lines. Michael likes to paint pictures. While he paints, we'll see how the girls are getting along. They're building up their tunnel again so that Irene can try it this time. You know, Irene is so much smaller than Susan, she might just be able to squeeze through. Careful now. Oh, there it goes again. It seems that the girls are both too big to be trains in that tunnel. Too bad they don't have a bigger block for that top piece. But they're building it up once more. And this time they have a better idea. Irene knows how nice it would be to have Michael's train. It could go through that tunnel quite easily. Well, perhaps Michael will share it. Irene is going to ask him. How about that, Michael? Would you play with the girls if... Oh, no, Irene. That's not fair. You can't just grab Michael's train away from him. You didn't share your blocks with him, and so you can hardly expect him to let you take his train. It would be nice to have Michael's train, but he wants to go along with it. You'd feel like Michael does, wouldn't you? What's Michael doing now? Do you think he's going to try to make a sand tunnel? Yes, he's digging one all right. We hope Michael will be able to make his sand tunnel and run his train through it. Let's see if he can. Say, that's a shame. The whole tunnel's caved in. Well, if it won't work, it won't work. What should Michael do? He'd still like to play with the girls and the blocks. He's not happy. And the girls aren't very happy either. Say, where's Michael going? Is he going to talk to the girls? What do you think he's saying? What do you think the girls are saying? Well, looks like they've all decided they can have more fun if they play and share together. They gather up the train. All three children help to carry the cars and go over to the blocks. But first, the train must be put together. That's easy, of course, when there's more than one to do the job. There it is. And now the children will fix up the tunnel again. Everyone's helping. It will be a stronger tunnel this time. It won't cave in now. Susan knows that it's often more fun to play and share together. She looks happier, doesn't she? Michael is happy too. He likes what he's doing now because he's playing with his friends. And Irene knows too that it's more fun to play and share together. She wants to tunnel. She can hardly wait. All the children, Susan, Michael, and Irene, are having a good time. They're playing together and sharing their toys. It's fun to have friends to work and play with. And school is a place where we find many friends. Just look at that train going through the tunnel. Everyone's having a good time because everyone helps to make it go. Do the children in your school can play together? Do they share their toys and take turns on them? Do you?
So I'm watching that film, and I'm like, that kid looks familiar. That kid looks familiar. And then I'm like, oh, Paul Burnford. He made Skipper Learns a Lesson, which is... have I shown that film to you guys? I'm sure some of you have already seen it. It's a film that came out like 2 years later. It's about a racist dog, or a dog that doesn't like other dogs that don't look right to him. But I think that Irene was in that film, and I think that Susan was in that film. And they were also digging a hole in that film, and using play as a way to talk about social interaction. You know, there's some gender things in there, but in general, it's a pretty good film. Yeah, Paul Burnford. I'll have to look and see if I have other films from his and see if he reuses people, reuses kids. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in today. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you like what you saw, avgeeks.com. There's lots of stuff there to watch. There's stuff that you can buy. You can buy DVDs. And then also you can donate at patreon.com. I just got my monthly Patreon payment, and that's going to go help for paying for things like a new router, which I'm using now. I had to basically hardwire into my computer so that we would have improved bandwidth and we wouldn't drop the signal like we were doing with Wi-Fi. Also, yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I have something that I'll probably announce later this week. Basically, I'm working on some actual shows that you'll be able to stream where they're high quality HD, so they won't be so blocky and smeary and all that stuff. And I'll have more information about that soon. But again, thanks so much for tuning in, for eating some food, and sharing these films. They're glorious and they're horrible all at the same time. So we'll talk soon. Take care.